Eurogamer's EGX video game conference has returned to London. What's it really like?
I went on opening day and I took some rough and ready footage with my phone. This video is me sharing my experience of what I saw. And at the end, some honest feedback.
I caught the DLR to Docklands in East London. The Excel Centre is so big it hosts multiple exhibitions, but I only had time for one, EGX. I had an early entry ticket, but who would have imagined there'd be fellow gamers who probably got there an hour before me. The line started to fill up and I collected my entry badge. Inside is a big open floor that, to be honest, was not overflowing with stands, but I did appreciate not being squashed. There were 5 high-profile games that I remember had larger stands. Sonic Frontiers, which gave the public their first taste of the new update to the Sonic formula. Nintendo was only showing one game, its recently released Splatoon 3. Wo Long Fallen Dynasty had people queuing up for what could be a hard game, and Street Fighter 6. This franchise never gets old. House Flipper 2, an action sim where you fix up property. I hadn't heard of it before, but people were eagerly waiting in line to play it. VR also had a presence. Online retailer CCL was using it to promote high-performance graphics cards, but there was also a modest row of VR games being demoed. I saw a couple of mates having fun with Broken Edge, a fantasy dueling game. It's more proof of how immersive VR can be. And if you've ever wondered what a Halo VR game would be like, then Guardians by Virtual Age was showing the potential. I think this is exactly why it was attracting a large crowd. Peaky Blinders: The King's Ransom is based on the BBC crime drama and takes you into the murky world of 1920s gangs in Birmingham. I didn't get off-screen footage as I was playing it. It starts outside the Garrison pub, but me, coming from owning PSVR that I enjoyed but could make me feel quite pukey, what I loved about Peaky Blinders is that when I tried the continuous movement, I felt okay, no sickness. Also, I accidentally smacked the PR guy, and he seemed okay about it. Sorry fella. And there was this amazing little VR device. I've always wanted to use one ever since I first heard about it, because I knew even back then that it was an outlier of the future. Some brands were doing something different to attract people over. Lenovo, the PC manufacturer, was promoting its Legion PC hardware with a frantic money-catching game. Not real money, but the novelty factor game show element attracted women and men alike. And this guy had a unique tactic of kicking the money in the corner and then catching it. He looked like he was doing well. Lenovo had another standout promotion by using a life-size racing car for people to play on its hardware. And Gotham Knights, that's coming out soon, and Warner Brothers, instead of having consoles for the public to play the game and try the game, instead opted for a lonely bat bike for people to take photos on. But maybe that works better on social media. Likewise, there was a Disco Elysium set you could sit in and have your photo taken. And there were some green octopus tentacles for... I'm not really sure what that was for. G Fuel, the favourite sponsored product of YouTube influencers in the US, had invaded the shelves, although I preferred Rubicon's raw energy drink because the company was wise enough to give people free samples. Whilst I love AAA big budget games with impressive scope, there is always that console warring expectation that they must be everything we've ever dreamed of. So it was refreshing to see rows of indie games, some offering traditional gaming or unique ideas, or are experimental or traditional. And for me, with memories of the 16-bit era, there are some games with retro graphics, like an isometric layout, that hit a nostalgia button deep inside. Verne: The Shape of Fantasy is a fiction adventure based on the author Jules Verne and his works. It might end up playing like an Uncharted remake, and that's a good thing. In Shadows of Doubt, you play a detective in an open-world sci-fi noir city on the hunt for a serial killer. Whilst it's got a modern retro aesthetic, it's definitely ambitious in scope. The developer, Jefferies, has been working on the majority of the programming alone.
It's an open-world stealth detective game set in a procedurally generated city where every citizen has their own kind of job, things they like to do and kind of routines, and they'll kind of all go about their daily lives. And within them is like a criminal or a couple of criminals that go around kind of committing crimes.
Planet of Lana for PC and Xbox looks like a space world set limbo. I watched people playing it and they were immersed. Full of Porcupine. I saw 1 second of it and I immediately stopped. This game is clearly modelled on the fantastic Night in the Woods by the late Alex Holoka. At first, I thought it was the unofficial sequel made by his former staff, but it's actually by a German team, Bunspec Games. You play Finley, an anthropomorphic pigeon who's an intern doctor in a coming-of-age story. It sincerely attempts to capture the same vibe as Night in the Woods, but sadly, it won't have Holoka's unique style of music. A preview chapter is available to download now for all platforms.
Let's get these games going!
there was a competitive fighting tournament of Guilty Gear Strive, taking place on stage in front of an excited audience. The MCs were relaxed and funny.
What's going on there? What's going on there? They're shaking hands, bro. Oh, you're shaking hands? Okay. Relax, it's easy. You ain't trying to cause trouble in the morning.
Arcade cabinets. It was kind of funny to see what was once so cutting edge seem like museum pieces to younger users, but fair play to everyone, they were all getting stuck in. I do like seeing the retro consoles as it kind of explains something about their legacy, and great gameplay never gets old. People were enjoying rhythm games, having light gun fun. The old Sega Mega Drive controller is a favourite of mine, and PC Engine, which I used to read so much about in 90s Edge magazine, and of course, probably the best gaming platform ever, the Commodore Amiga, although not the A500. Some gaming culture fans seized the opportunity to let their hair down. There were Spider-Man family fans, and the Sons of the Jedi, and anime outfits. If you wanted to buy something, there was plenty to choose from: clothes, comics, this fantastic Pokemon art, and Pokemon balls that were all handcrafted and unique. Beautiful dice, and the giant die. I saw signs of a huge RPG resurgence, with stalls packed with games and board games. As an old-time player of tabletop D&D, I wouldn't have predicted that in the computer age it could grow so big, but I'm happy to see it. There was a man giving complete beginners an introduction to D&D, and he was enthusiastic, and it looked like he was doing a great job because he had his audience enthralled. Knowing a 6th edition of Dungeons & Dragons is coming in 2024 has got me thinking that I want to return to my RPG homeland. Other aspects of the gaming industry were present too. Special Effect is the charity that promotes support for gamers with physical disabilities, building awareness for the need to provide accessibility options. And there were some training institutions offering help to young people looking to break into the industry. A big part of what gives shows their character are the panels, where notable people give advice or engage with the audience. There was one on intellectual property rights, and Eurogamer staffers with stage fright attempting to play PUBG. And whilst I missed the start of a talk from creators on how to level up your content, I was able to sit in a quiet space nearby and hear it all. You could buy refreshments, although the savvy people bought packed lunchboxes full of sandwiches to eat in the chill out area. Coffee was available to everyone, and hot dogs were available for any attending millionaires. When it comes to crowd levels, the exhibition was in a large open hall, so it was spacious. I had early entry, but even after late lunch, there was still room to get about easily. I remember attending an old EGX where there were so many people. It was a good show. Everybody was in positive spirits. People working on stalls and visitors, everyone seemed to be having fun and appreciating this slow return to a post-pandemic normality. Now, home truths. It's a real shame that there was not a larger number of big game publishers at the event. I don't know if this was because the EGX operator, ReedPop, was unable to entice them, or simply the publishers not seeing any value in it, but London is one of the major video game markets in Europe, along with Germany and France. So it does seem like a missed opportunity that the bigger brands, publishers like the Ubisofts and Activisions and Sonys and Microsofts were not at EGX. I don't think it's a good enough answer to say, what's the point when there is more significant events like E3 when it returns and Gamescom? The thing is, London doesn't have to be an industry-focused show like E3 or Gamescom, where big game reveals are made, but it can be like Paris Games Week in France, which is focused on giving people hands-on time with games. At EGX, there was a tremendous amount of goodwill from the visitors to the companies that showed up. And how I read the room is that post-pandemic, the gaming community wants to share in the experience of their hobby with other people. I bet every game that an attendee played, they will go home and talk about it with their friends or share it on socials.
Wow, my sword is too short.
That's promotion and building brand loyalty that shouldn't be ignored. There is an opportunity for publishers to recognise London and for ReedPop to either grow the event or for a new contender to step in the ring and make a people's show.
With so many big games having their release dates moved to next year, if the publishers show up, EGX 2023 could be epic.